Hello, dear friends. I'm shashigoel. Welcome you all on Women's Dialogue channel with new episode. In today's episode, we will talk about women in South Africa. What and how we see females in South Africa society. In today's episode, we are having with us a successful entrepreneur, Elsabe Trolley. She is a lifestyle virtual assistant for creative and visionary women. After her long, successful retail career of 30 years, she decided to take her passion for serving and empowering others and started her own business. So, welcome, Mrs. Elsabe, in today's episode.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, and so today we are talking in our episode Women in South Africa. So, what do you say about women in South Africa situation in general?
I think in South Africa, as far as gender roles are concerned, we've come a long way. Um, there's definitely been a shift in the last couple of years where women definitely have more power, and they can do things more for themselves. I think in general, though, there are still cultures in South Africa where women are still seen as like a secondary role in the household. That needs to change. And a big thing in South Africa still is gender-based violence. It seems in certain cultures it's still a norm that the woman will get abused by the husband and it is deemed as okay. Having said that, though, we have come a long way. We are seeing a lot more females in South Africa starting their own businesses, starting organizations, trying to help other women and children. So we've definitely moved forward. I think, like the rest of the world, I don't think we've moved forward fast enough, but we have definitely seen a shift.
Yeah, that's very well said as you discussed and you touched the points about the changes about the in society, the violence against women, and you in general you have comprehend a lot of topic which we are going to discuss in detail. So first of all, I would like to ask, what kind of work culture did you find during your career journey?
Sorry, what kind of work culture?
Yes, like in terms of
When
when we are talking about women, yeah.
Okay, when I started working, it was, I'm talking quite a lot of years ago now. It was still your typical, the male will get the managerial positions or the higher positions, and the female would get like your lower positions. There was still a thing of women, even though you have like the same position as a man, you would get paid less because you're a female. That has also changed a lot. However, I do still feel it's not an equal opportunity. There's still some sectors of the economy where females get paid less than their male counterparts. And what I've also witnessed with myself working in a corporate environment, that people still tend to take males more serious than what they take a female. Females have to work so much harder to prove themselves, whereas males, just because they male, they naturally, people will believe them or look up to them more than what they do with a female. Like I say, once again, that has changed, but it's still a long way to go. There are more women in management positions, and that is great to see. And the whole equity thing is shifting. But once again, nothing is ever shifting fast enough. It's taking too long. We're in 2021 already, and I just feel we should have been further along than what we are.
Right, right. So, and as you shared your experiences, and you have mentioned like there's a definitely pay structure, or there's a gap between male and female, even though in corporate they don't follow equal pay structure, and you yourself has experienced that. So, in terms of
Yes.
gender equality, what kind of gender equality is provided and available for women in South Africa in terms of like new changes or upcoming changes you are expected to in work and pay?
Look, I know the government itself has got a whole lot of goals and objectives to try and help to close the gap between the males and the females. So we're really proud of what they're trying to do from their side. And a lot of organizations have also started to come on board, and they are now also focusing more on females and helping to, because if you think about it, females have men go home and they sit and they relax, and the woman has to go home and look after the kids and see to them, her husband and the house and all that. And more organizations are realizing that. And the females also have to travel a lot, especially in South Africa. If you look at your general working population, I mean, they have to get up like 4 o'clock in the morning, get ready, get the kids off, and then travel, maybe take 2 or 3 modes of transport to get to work. And companies are starting to realize that, and they are now starting programs as well. Some of the companies that I know are starting programs to find out how they can better help the woman that's in their organization so that they can get them, because a lot of the time they're not getting the recognition or the promotions that they deserve because they've got
Right.
all these other struggles, and they tend to be maybe either later to work or they can't commit to extra time. And companies are starting to see that now, and they're
Right.
starting to incorporate that into their company policies.
Right. So, in that regard, when you are talking about pay system and then bringing their small changes in the society and the work culture in corporates, in the same regard, just I would like to ask, like one of the research, according to that research on the history of Federation of South African Women, there was a research that there is a struggle of women in South Africa was seen in two prolonged issues. One was the apartheid, which is discriminated against non-whites, and secondly, the issue was institutions that discriminate against women, laws and institutions. So, what do you say about this apartheid and the law system? Do you find those are the new changes which are coming are equally paying attention of women of color, or it's a different the kind of new changes and laws and all the systems?
Look, yes, for me personally, I think apartheid was one of the biggest atrocities in the history of the world. And it really did deny so many brilliant people opportunities to actually just shine and come forward and do what they need to do. And yes, we're now 20 odd years after apartheid was abolished. Um, and like I say, the government has done a lot, but there's still, I think, from the community, the people itself, their mindset, I think they just started on a back foot. So for them, 20 years on was not enough. They still have to overcome certain of those things. Um, Apartheid, as a white person, I can only speak for myself, what I've seen and what I've heard about the people around me talk.
Right.
And I can not even begin to imagine how bad it must be for them. But I know from my side how bad it was for me. In a work situation, if I wanted to go somewhere with my friends or my colleagues, I couldn't do that because we weren't allowed to go to the same places. So it really for them was, I can't even begin to imagine how terrible it must have been for them. And even now, while things have changed a lot and they now have all those opportunities, and I think the BBEE, the Black empowerment that the government has brought in, and the equality so that Black people, previously disadvantaged people, now
Right.
have opportunities. I think that's lovely.
Mhm.
But I still feel it's not perfect in the sense that, yes, while it's now empowering Black people and Black women specifically, I think
Mhm.
if we have a colored community as well. And I think they kind of, when it was apartheid, they weren't white enough. And now that the BBE is coming into place, they're not Black enough. So there's still a whole section of our society that's actually in a sense, disadvantaged. However, things have changed a lot. I was going to say something and I don't know what it was now, but anyway, it has changed, but it's not perfect by a long shot. And
Mm-hmm.
women do have, and what I love about it now is because women have got so much power, you can see a lot of the time it's them that's now taking the lead to help
Right.
other women to empower themselves. Yes.
Right. So when you're talking about this, like there are a lot of new changes are coming. Is there any law or any legal bodies working towards those establishing some kind of laws or something, or is still it's just women derive force and they are working as an organization for that?
Look, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure if there's any legal. I know from a law point of view, it's law that companies have to make sure that a certain percentage of their management are Black people or previously disadvantaged people. Um,
Right.
but it's not necessarily that it has to be women. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm not sure if anybody in the background is changing it, but I do know people on the ground, women that's coming forward and that's really working hard towards empowering people. Other women are actually doing that, but I can't for sure say if there's a law that's actually coming to or busy
Right, right. So
implementing that.
when we are talking about these, because as a gender policy matter and these all laws matter, there are a lot of things South Africa follow by the United Nations organization, and I think one of that point which we are talking about go along with the United Nations and their policy matter and gender policy related issue. So similarly, when I was looking these corporate and pay and work and all bringing gender equality, there was a very key concern I was having to ask about, as you shared a bit of you touched a point about violence against women and especially the domestic. So as I was according to US Department of State, the Bureau of Consular Affairs, it is published an travel guide to South Africa in 2012 that it's the rate of sexual violence in South Africa is among the highest in the world, and it's really sad to see and read all about. But at the same time, they have it has been called the rape capital of the world by the SABC News, which is South Africa and World Rape Capital by the Interpol. So when we see all these kind of news, so what kind of sexual violence is more? What when we are saying this is that they are calling the name as rape capital of the world, it is really sad and shame being a hearing this, being a woman, being a we belong from this community. So what exactly it's all about? It's like marital sexual violence or domestic abuse or child sexual abuse or rape, or what way they are counting and what is all about?
Yeah, look, gender-based violence is still a terrible thing, like you say, in this country. Um, for me, once again, I touched on this point a little bit earlier on. I believe it's more in certain cultures where women are still seen as not equal to the man, and males still believe they are dominant over women and they can do with women what they want. And whether it's my girlfriend or whether it's my wife, it doesn't matter. She has to be submissive to me, and whatever I do, it's fine because I am the man in the household. And that, unfortunately, is a cultural thing, and that is not going to change in a hurry. I think only if we start doing the work now and we're getting all the education starting now and the awareness, and we have to increase the awareness because it is a huge problem. Yes, there's awareness and there's awareness campaigns, but I don't think it's enough, and I don't really think it's reaching all the right people that it should. Because also, if you think about it, we have a lot of rural areas in South Africa. Um,
Right.
and we can have all these campaigns and all that, but I think it reaches more your metropolitan areas and not your rural areas where there's also a big problem. And I think there's quite a big problem there. But I think if we do all the groundwork now, it's only future generations that will get the understanding better, and where we might see a bigger shift, um, because it is a big problem, because women are still seen as below the male.
Right. As you said, like particular areas or particular culture. So in areas wise, when we are talking about rural areas or metropolitan areas, do you find like the similar kind of things in terms of violence, and same way it applies in the health, women's health as well, like how they treat it. Definitely, it is very well defined, and you mentioned that in rural areas, in particular segment of societies or in culture, they have more prone to face, gender-based violence. How about the women's health issue when we are talking about that?
Sorry, what was your question? I didn't hear your question.
So I just would like to
The last
ask,
bit.
like, if we are talking about gender-based violence, you have mentioned very clearly that there is a particular segments and the culture and the areas which is more or less they follow the gender-based violence, whereas like the awareness in metro cultures are more than rural areas. How about women health issue? If we are talking about women health, is it similar way it goes, or or there is any universal health related system which runs in South Africa? How it is?
Um, yes. Look, I think, if you ask me, the problem is actually even worse than what we think, because I think a lot of women don't even report that. And once again, in your metropolitan areas, you will be more aware of it, because people have better access to health facilities and all that. But a lot of the people come from smaller areas to bigger areas, and that's how you learn about what's actually going on. But I want to also just state here, having said that, and I'm talking about rural areas and metropolitan areas and certain cultures, and I think people might get the impression that I'm basically referring to the African people here, but I'm not. It happens in even in I'm Afrikaans. My language, home language, is Afrikaans, and it even happens in Afrikaans households. Because men were always seen as, I am the boss and you have to do what I have
Mm-hmm.
what I have to say. But
Mm-hmm.
we know about these things in the rural areas, because we have the people in the metropolitan areas have got families. Most of their families are in the rural areas. They come here to look for work. And it's a
Right.
lot of the time, this is, sorry, I'm kind of veering off topic now, but this is the sad thing. It's the women have to leave their children and their families in the rural areas, and they come here to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that also makes them vulnerable, because now you're kind of alone, and you know you kind of more vulnerable. So you can also mix with people that can take advantage of you, because you come here and you're young and you're unsure of what's happening, and you're not familiar with anything, and that's also when people take advantage of you. And if you look at, like, in the townships, I mean, people will just take women, and do with them what they want,
Mm-hmm.
if they want to. It's sad, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. So during this pandemic situation, did you notice anything? Similar kind of incidents has increased more, or it's like what way how women are finding those issues and concern about their safety and uh, domestic violence or sexual violence? Is it, do you find any
Look,
correlation or anything?
I didn't see any formal reports or anything that was released regarding this. But for me personally, but this is just now me, my personal opinion, that yes, I am quite sure that would have increased, especially, um, if you just look at in Cape Town, there's a culture of, on a Friday, when the people get paid, then the husband would go and have his drink, have his alcohol weekend or whatever. And that's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
alcohol plays a big role in domestic violence in South Africa.
Right.
Um, And then what happened now, when we had the first lockdown, they banned alcohol, so we weren't allowed to buy alcohol. And now currently alcohol is banned again. Now if you used to having your alcohol all the time and you're now not getting it, that can also lead to anger issues and maybe withdrawal issues. And if naturally, who would you take it out on? It would be the person next to you in your household, which would invariably be your wife. But alcohol
Mhm.
does play a big role in South Africa
Mhm.
in um, domestic violence.
So when you're saying about domestic, there is already, I believe there is already the act has come in place, which is Domestic Violence Act in 1998. Do you find this act is sufficient, or it's kind of helping women in terms of giving them protection or safety, uh, or it's still the same, like cases are getting unreported, or situation is still same? What your observation is all about?
Yeah, I'm aware of the act, and frankly, in my opinion, I don't think it's really made a difference. I don't think that it's still the same as what it was. I don't think there's been a decline. And like you say, we're still the rape capital of the world. So surely from 1998 to now, if anything positive came out of the act, really positive, that should have changed. And that hasn't changed. So yes, it's there, and I don't think it's as effective as they wanted it to be, because I think
Right.
the status quo is still there. It's still the same.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of measurement or system, as we if we observe as a for the women perspective, or when we see those laws are already in the system, but still they are not helpful, or they are not having as a protective mechanism for the females, or for all these kind of issues to control. What kind of add-on measurement issues or add-on things we should find, or we should think of? What is missing there?
You know what? I don't think it's the law itself. I think it's actually the implementation of the law. Um, I personally look, crime is huge in South Africa, and I don't think our police force can cope. I do not think our social services departments can cope. I think the volumes are just too much. I think there's also so much other crime going on that you cannot give the attention to everything that you maybe should, because there's so many other things waiting for you. So I really just think it's manpower and resources that's actually hampering the act from actually being more successful and having a bigger impact.
Uh, yeah, that is true. But so that means it's moreover about a part of legal or all other kind of protective mechanism. It's kind of bringing those kind of awareness and systematization in society, whether it is through work or whether it is a professional platform. So when we are talking about these way, uh, tell about something about your life journey, and like how today you reach on very successful platform. You are a successful business woman. So during reaching all this platform, what kind of hardship or what kind of things you face in a good
On
or
my
bad
journey
way?
now, sorry, as on my journey as a successful business owner on my own.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I just, I don't know, maybe I'm just lucky, I don't know. It's just, I haven't really had any. It's so it's so amazing though. What I do find, in when I started my journey as a virtual assistant, I found, we're talking about women in general now. I found men was more in the beginning. Men was more open like if you go to businesses open to having somebody working for them remotely initially when I started this. It's changed now. I mean, everybody's working online, and I think COVID just accelerated that. Um,
Mhm.
but I didn't have, from an outside point of view, I didn't really have any difficulties. I think it's the most wonderful community having all these people working online and making all these connections. And I think technology has just helped us so much. And that is one thing that's actually very sad for me, is that this technology can help so many people and so many women, um, to start being self-sufficient, and yet they don't always have the access to it. Internet coverage is not, especially in your outside of metropolitan areas, is not always that good. um, the funds are not there to have a laptop or to have that Wi-Fi, and I just think it'll be so freeing for so many women, because I totally love this journey, and it has empowered me. I mean, who thought at 50 odd years that I would ever start my own business? And technology, and I think the world's mindset in general, has opened up all those avenues for all of us to
Right,
start our businesses online and actually make a success of it. um,
right,
and I love it. Look, I worked in retail for over 30 years in a management position, and I absolutely loved it. um, I absolutely loved it, and I would never have stopped, but I got a vestibular disorder, and my work literally made me sick, so I was forced to change my path. And I'm actually so grateful for that, because I would never have met amazing people like you, and all the other people in my online community. And what's nice about this now is, because the knowledge that I've gained, I'm now starting to help other women that's very close to me, helping them to get into the online space, to help them to become independent, helping them to become self-sufficient, and give them that power to actually look after themselves and their families. Because in South Africa, if you look at it, in a lot of it, not in general, I
right.
wouldn't say in general, but it's a big chunk, the women that come from the rural areas that work, or even for the men, actually, there's
Right.
invariably one person working, and that one person is sustaining a whole family of
Mhm.
10 people, because that person's the only one working. So, and our economy is very insecure and uncertain. So, the more people we can get to actually start working for themselves and be independent, I think it'll just be a great opportunity because if you one person lose a job, it's actually 15 people that lose an income. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like you, as you explained very beautifully, and you said like it's moreover how we can get privilege of this modern technology to empower not only self but to others. So, in terms of that similar way, I would like to just ask, what one message to our viewers, whether it's male or female, would you like to give, which can be helpful for them?
Sorry, just repeat that. I didn't hear the one word that you said there.
I just would like to ask if, as per we were talking about this being a virtual assistant, your experience, like taking leverage of the technology and reach, helping ourselves, same time helping others, other women. What one message would you like to give to our viewers?
You know what? The one thing I want to let people know is, for one, there's a couple of things that I learned in my journey. One of them was, don't wait for everything to be perfect. Number one, just start, because you will grow and learn as you go along. Um, Number two, don't doubt yourself. I don't compare yourself to others. You are not other people. And when I'm starting my journey and I'm on day one, I cannot compare myself to you that's on day 200. You will just shoot yourself in the foot if you do that. And then the most important thing that I think people should understand is, you are worth far more than what you realize. You are far more skilled than what you actually give yourself credit for. and you can actually do so much more than you think you can. Don't let fear and doubt get in your way, because you have something valuable to give to the world. Even if it's just one thing, that thing is valuable to somebody. Even if you have just a story to share with other people and you think your story might not be important, there's somebody out there that's going through the same thing as you, and putting your story out there will at least help that one person. So just go for it. Don't think about it. Don't overthink things. Just start. Don't doubt yourself. You have a lot more value than what you think you do.
Amazing, amazing. And then that's beautiful, beautiful. I feel like all the viewers will really get inspired and take it in the same positive way in their life and apply. So thanks a lot, dear Elsabe, for sharing your views and your opinion with our viewers. And same time, I would like to say, dear viewers, that's it for today's our episode. We will come back with new episode on our channel, Women's Dialogues. If you like and want to see our upcoming women episodes, women dialogue episode, do like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon button. And thank you once again. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure, and I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank